entrepreneurs and professionals of Tampa Bay. Welcome to your hour for getting the information, the tools, and the connections for elevating your business. Welcome to Getting the Edge with Kelly Wilson. And here's your host, Kelly Wilson.
Welcome to Getting the Edge. I am your host, Kelly Wilson. Thank you so much for being with us today. Getting the Edge is brought to you by Edge Media Hub. Edge Media Hub is a multi-platform media company specifically designed to assist the small business community with connections, visibility, and influence in the community. Happy to be celebrating almost 7 years in the community, still hanging in there through all of our transitions as we all transition and pivot through this difficult pandemic period. Wanted to say thank you to our Getting the Edge sponsors. Thank you so much to Pilot Bank. Thank you. Thank you to All Trust Insurance, your trusted employee benefits partner. And thank you to Tampa Bay Multimedia and WeBeam TV. We're all looking for new methods to have a voice and connect with our clients and our customers. If you're looking for your very own platform similar to Getting the Edge, make sure you check out Tampa Bay Multimedia, WeBeam TV, and John Gaston and his team. I've worked with John for quite a few years now, 3 to 4, maybe close to 5 now. Time just continues to fly, but definitely highly recommend John and the team. Check out Tampa Bay Multimedia for more information. We're all in this together. Our lives have drastically, for many of us, changed over the last 4 to 6 weeks as we've all transitioned into this new normal, whatever that is. And I think we're all still trying to figure out exactly what that is, between those that have become sick and those that we have unfortunately lost, and the effect that our small business community has had, and so many people losing their jobs, and the safer at home orders, and just everything, all of the uncertainty. It really can take a toll on all of us. And one of the hopes that I have is that we can provide a voice and a little bit of inspiration. Throughout the day, we hear so much from the media, and just all of the mental and physical and financial devastation throughout the country and throughout our very own community. Hopefully here at Getting the Edge, we can provide a little bit of hope and inspiration and try to focus a little more on the rebound and recovery. I wanted to take some time to talk to small business owners in our community, and then bring in a business coach, leadership executive coach to talk with us about ways we can get through and how to lead through these tough times and leading through crisis. So we're actually going to do a 2-part show today. Excited to feature one of my favorite small businesses in the community. And then the second half of the show, we'll have an executive leadership coach come in, and looking forward to that. So right now we're going to be joined with James Flynn, treasurer for South Tampa Dermatology. Welcome to the show, Jim. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. So South Tampa Dermatology is located in South Tampa. You're right off of Swan Avenue. How long have you been there? And tell us a little bit about South Tampa Dermatology.
South Tampa Dermatology has been here for about 15 years, and my wife is Dr. Linda Flynn. She's a physician who started the practice, and we employ 14 people at the moment, and right now the government has us kind of handcuffed as far as what we can do and what we can't do. Yeah. But we're looking for better days ahead.
Yeah. So have you always been in the same location as well over the last 13, 14 years?
We've been in this location from day one, yes.
Oh, wow. And I must say, like I said, South Tampa Dermatology is one of my favorite businesses in South Tampa. I'm very much a fan of Dr. Flynn and Jim and the entire staff, especially Jessica, being one of
We have the dermatology dream team working here, and there's really, I can't think of a better group of people to go through the tough times with, because I know we're going to come out okay in the end.
Well, you and I have had the opportunity to sit down and have a many conversations just about business and ethics and philosophy and just about the future and what we have to look forward to. So I look forward to bringing you on the show and just really having one of those conversations like we always do. I know you were had recommended maybe bringing somebody else on, but I think you are definitely in the operations field of South Tampa Dermatology, and I think one of the perfect people to speak on the behalf of your organization. So I appreciate you being with us today.
Well, the pleasure's all mine. I'm certainly not the face of the practice, but I do handle a lot of the business side of things. But like I said, the pleasure's all mine, and I see nothing but opportunity ahead.
Yeah, and that's another one of you and I have had these optimistic and promising conversations even before this. So it was interesting to and looking forward to kind of just having some time to talk with you about how you look at things as we evolve and kind of work through this a little more. Right now we're in towards the I guess almost the end of April. How has this affected the business? Are you closed completely? Are you able to be open at all?
We are open a little bit. Our traffic to the actual practice is down probably 95%.
Oh, wow.
We're doing a fair amount of telemedicine, which is okay for a stopgap type situation, but it is certainly not what most of the patients want. And so we're looking, a lot of people are in worse situations than we are. We all got the same curveball at the same time. And now we're going to do what entrepreneurs do, which is adapt.
Absolutely. And we're all in this together. I think I've said that a couple times already, but I talk to business owners regularly on a daily basis, and we're all trying to figure out how to adapt, how to pivot, and how to move forward. And we all have staff and teams and responsibilities, and it's very difficult as things have changed. Just trying to adapt and figure out the ways forward. So the office then you're there for more of emergency purposes, but anything kind of cosmetic has been put on hold.
That's correct. The cosmetic, the routine exams aren't currently allowed. We are able to see patients who have something that might be inflamed, something that needs quick attention. We don't do the number of biopsies we normally do. And like I said, we don't do the routine checkups at the moment. We're not allowed to. But that is when we spot a lot of things, a lot of problems that people don't normally, it's a problem, but they haven't identified it as a problem. We pick it up during a typical routine exam. We can't do that right now.
And, I will speak, I've been through your exams, and I want to say it was, it was very impressive. I have, as you get into your latter 40s, who doesn't love some great Botox? And we want to look good. And I think I probably started way before my late 40s, probably in my 30s at some point. But you were the only dermatology office that I have walked into, and it wasn't just about, okay, you want Botox, let's give it to you. You took me through and really a very thorough exam of my skin and what I might need to pay attention to as we progress into the future, of what might be a concern to me, what could potentially be precancerous, and not to mention showing me pretty much what I would look like as I get into my older years, which was great to kind of see.
Well, the medical side comes first, obviously, and
Absolutely.
We practice that as well as preach it, and we do believe in education. We do like to show people what it is they're getting into. A lot of people want to hang out in the sun. They want to go boating. They need protection. And we show them, okay, this is the ghost of Christmas future. This is what you're going to look like 10 years down the road if you don't do anything now.
Yeah.
And that picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
So they like that. They respond.
Yeah, I have spent a lot of time in the sun over the years, and thankfully didn't have anything really that was of concern right now, but definitely things to watch Definitely didn't use as much sunscreen as I should have. But those are the opportunities you're talking
Right.
about as you come in for other services. You're able to check for these other things so that maybe you can catch things before they become more serious.
That's the whole point of showing up here. We try to catch it while it's still small things.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of underserved areas where you don't have access to a dermatologist, and people don't show up until it is advanced and it's tricky, and your options are limited to how bad it's going to be.
Yeah. What are your plans to kind of continue to make it through this? Have you applied for any of the federal funding or any of?
Oh, let's keep this upbeat. Let's not talk about that PPP plan. I'm sure some people got it. We had all our paperwork in line and everything on day one, and for whatever reason, we got a sincere apology from the people trying to push it through.
Right.
But that was about it.
What are your plans?
Actually, what we did was the old-fashioned way. We, Dr. Flynn and I took out a mortgage on our house.
Yeah.
And so we're in it. We're committed. We're in it with both feet, so we're in it to win it.
You have been committed and a part of this community for a very long time. So that is not surprising at all. You're not going anywhere. The community will not let you. How do you see us rebounding and the recovery period? What does that look like, Jim? What do you think?
Well, obviously, sooner is better. A lot of the people who are getting laid off now are attorneys, other doctors who work in, say, orthopedics or other type of diagnostics where, you can't do the procedures right now, so they've been furloughed. So a lot of people who weren't expecting to get laid off at the beginning of it are getting hit right now.
Yeah.
And so the longer it goes, the tougher it's going to be to try to start it back up again.
It looks promising, though, and I probably have watched too much of it because I do think we have to limit our intake of what we watch in order to keep our positiveness and our sanity about us. But from what I'm seeing, I know the governor, we are looking at ways to reopen slowly, into it. But I do see maybe where doctors' offices like yourself are able to function a little differently, but at least start functioning again. Do you feel the same way?
Oh, certainly. We can change our business model much quicker than a typical government agency. The DMV isn't going to change. We will be able to change to where we can space people however many feet apart they need to be. We understand infections. We understand, we take people's temperatures. We get it. We can certainly mitigate the risk here. But we've got to be open, and we've got to be able to see patients to take care of them.
So what does it mean, I guess, really when everything changed? Because initially businesses were able to stay open if they were able to maintain the social distancing. But then as the safer at home order went into effect, that even changed that as well. So if that potentially could lift by the end of the month, then we could resume some type of business for all or some businesses.
Right. Well, in the medical community, a lot of the medical practices were shut down because they were afraid of running out of gloves, running out of gowns, running out of the ancillary supplies for this crushing wave of COVID-19, which the numbers haven't really panned out as far as what the initial projections were. And that's good news. So we should be able to respond to that now and allow, the medical profession to get back to diagnosing and taking care of patients and not just focusing on one specific disease.
Right. Has telemedicine always been a big part of your business, or?
No, we never had it. We never even talked about it because our patients didn't want it. Our patients want to come in. They want to meet with the people. We've got the best people here.
Yes, you do.
And, that's why I call them the dream team, because they've earned it.
Yes.
And when you spend time with these people who really care and they're somewhat obsessive compulsive on their work, which is wonderful.
Yes.
people really appreciate that. And there's a lot you can't do when you're just staring at a screen.
Yeah.
Now, it's a stopgap only, and I suppose it's for other types of medicine, or it's for maybe an underserved population, maybe on an Indian reservation 300 miles from a city. It doesn't really have much of a demand in South Tampa.
From a dermatologist perspective, if you had something that was alarming on your body or something that you thought could potentially be skin cancer.
Okay, it'll work for that.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I was going to ask.
And that's what we're doing right now. We're still here to take care of our patients. We're not completely shut down. So if they have something that they are worried about, something that's concerning, and we get a couple phone calls every day, and we're able to take care of it immediately and tell them, yes, this is something that requires further attention, or no, this is actually,
Right.
not a big deal. You'll be fine. And we're able to give them answers to, but that's a very limited amount of what we normally do.
That is, as we all go through difficult times, and I've kind of joked before, it's not joking necessarily, but being a single mom and trying to build my business, I've been through very, very tough times, the last decade to really be where I am today. And I've always kind of been in it on my own. I mean, other
Right.
entrepreneurs, but this is so surreal. It's, kind of where we're all in this rough terrain together, trying to work through things. One of the things I have found is that no matter the obstacle, no matter the tragedy, no matter what we're going through, there's always something to learn. I always try to think, this isn't necessarily happening to me, it's for me, to really I try to look at the lesson in everything. Jim, what do you take away from this?
What I take away from this is I'm thrilled with the people and the team we assembled ahead of time. I had no clue this was coming, and the way they've responded and their ideas and the enthusiasm from top to bottom, from the person who answers the phone to the lady who bills you after the insurance is done paying their portion. They have really stepped up. So it makes me feel like I just haven't been wasting time here for 15 years.
Yeah.
We've got an incredible team behind us, and we can come out of this in a lot better shape than a lot of the other businesses out there. And we're just chomping at the bit, ready to go. One example is our nursing staff has been painting the office over the past week. And so we're taking some of this downtime to spruce things up, probably get new flooring in here, change the look of the place, and just keep going and get ready for the relaunch.
And that's, I think, what we're all trying to do really is look at, this downtime is a very unique period because this is not something that we expected to have, nor have we ever had it before. And
Right.
Let's just we hope and pray that we'll never have it again. But it's interesting, again, trying to look at what we can learn through this. I think if anything too, it's taught us maybe, to slow down some, to kind of take a breath, tend to our families, just slow down, and focus on what we have to be grateful for. And you just mentioned a lot of what you're grateful for, your team, your staff, the community. So if anything, we are all trying to take advantage of this time, and what can we do during this time so that as it passes, or once it passes, we can look and say, well, we've got this done, and we got this done, and we got this done, and we're on the mend to rebound.
Well, sometimes the priorities change, and sometimes you get a test that tells you that your priorities were already in the right order.
Right.
And you just keep doing what you were doing, and you don't have to change too much. And that's kind of what we're finding out is, no, we pretty much had this right, and we just stick to our plan, and we can adapt certain things of our business model, but we had our priorities pretty much in line with where they needed to be.
Well, and you've been in the community for quite a few years now, so you've already kind of gone through quite a few transitional periods, I'm sure, from when you started the business to where you are, almost now 15 years later. So you've already kind of gone through so many of those pivots that most likely this many years in, you figured it out already, and your clients and customers have told patients, have told you how they felt, and you've adapted and
Right.
accommodated.
Right. I mean, you have to listen to your patients, and you have to determine also from a marketing standpoint, what demographics do you want to attract? What plans do you want to be on, and how do you want to provide the service? And my wife is someone who doesn't want to have a busy waiting room. She doesn't want to have 20 people out there all the time. She doesn't want to have people waiting an hour to be seen. And she likes to take her time with the patient. So she doesn't schedule the way other doctors do. And our physician assistants, they are all moms with young kids, and they work 2-3 days a week anyway. And they don't see, we don't see 60 patients a day per provider. We take our time, and it's all about how they can deliver their best service. And that's how the business model has been crafted from the beginning. So all the technology and everything we use is a substitute for their time. And if you think about it, there's not much of a difference between entrepreneurs and single moms. You want to talk about pivoting, you want to talk about changing things up and always having a plan B to go to, I'm sure you can run laps around me.
Most definitely. Single mothers, business owners are very, we're extremely resilient, nurturing, caring, sympathetic. No, and you have a great team there. I have spent some time with Dr. Flynn, your wife, and have experienced firsthand her caring and thoughtfulness and dedication to her patients. And likewise, I've spent quite a bit of time now with some of your other team and specialists, and I'm a big fan. I can't wait to get back in and see all of you, and I can't wait for us just to all kind of really get into this rebound stage. And
better
recover.
days are ahead.
Absolutely.
I'm convinced this isn't going to last forever. No. And, we didn't really bring it on ourselves. Nobody caused this. It's just a curveball. So can you hit a curveball? Let's go.
Well, we can all handle anything temporarily, and that exactly is what this is. It's temporary. Jim, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. I appreciate you being on with me, and I'm happy to have an opportunity to highlight South Tampa Dermatology. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Kelly. The pleasure was all mine.
All right. Well, good luck. We'll see you soon, and stay tuned because we'll be right back with Rob Campbell, speaker, author, and veteran of Rob Campbell Leadership. Welcome back to Getting the Edge. Thanks again for being with us today, and thanks to James Flynn with South Tampa Dermatology for being with us earlier in the show. And again, wanted to talk to executive leadership coaches on their recommendations on how we deal with this crisis and how they can help us really lead through difficult times. So joining us now is Rob Campbell with Rob Campbell Leadership, speaker, author, and veteran. Thank you so much for joining us, Rob. How are you doing?
Thanks, Kelly. I'm doing well, all things considered.
Yeah, definitely a transitional time for us all as we figure out how to pivot and adapt and move forward. And, really it's trying to figure out, too, how we rebound and recover as we, are getting closer to, hopefully, that period of time. Tell us a little bit about your business and how you help leaders in different communities.
Sure. Well, I've got 27 years of military experience. I retired in 2016, wrote a book on leadership. And so I help grow leaders. I do that through coaching. I do that through speaking. And I do that through training and consulting in businesses. So where there's a place for leaders to grow because there's a void out there right now a lot in organizations where you don't get a lot of leadership training and education and experience through the college years. They wind up in business having to lead people. My goal is to come in and help fix that so we can get engaged employees, folks that want to be on the team because they've got good leaders.
One of the things that struck me with when you and I met and we kind of started talking was the fact that you really take pride in providing positive leadership. Everything about you is positivity. Even if you send an email, I mean, it's about being positive, and that's really one of the messages within Edge that we've tried to really instill in everything that we do is just positivity. And I know it's difficult. It's not always easy, and even me, I did a post recently that I'm probably one of the most optimistic people you'll ever meet or know, but even I run low at times, and I try to share and do what I can and share it, but this takes a toll on all of us for sure, but I thought it'd be interesting to kind of take some insights from,
Sure.
What are different companies that you work with, what are they asking, or what are some of the things you're sharing with them?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the whole optimism thing. I am an optimistic leader. It's a choice at the end of the day that you make, either travel down the negative path. And there's certainly a lot to complain about, without question. It's a natural thing, right? I mean, we are magnetically drawn into that space, certainly the media and everything you watch on TV nowadays.
It just depends what we want to focus on and where we want to put our energy, right?
Exactly. And so I always trying to find the optimism in there. That doesn't mean I'm not realistic about the conditions that we're in. I mean, it's just pretty ugly, right?
Right.
But it's a great question to ask somebody, hey, what are the opportunities during this time right now? And I think what happens a lot of time in crisis, and what organizations are looking for from me, when a crisis occurs, people look up to leadership. And they want a certain thing. They want a handful of things from leadership. And I believe that's what a lot of leaders are struggling with a bit right now. And there was this great saying this German officer said to me in a training scenario years ago in the Army. And he said that the U.S. military, why the U.S. military is so good at combat is because combat is chaos, and they practice that on a daily basis. And it's true. In training and in combat, it's crisis. And so we deal with that from a before, during, and after perspective. And I think that's the way you've got to look at it, is what are we doing before? Because crisis is coming. Now, certainly it's difficult to see a black swan like COVID-19, but it's a crisis nonetheless. You could go back and see a lot of the similarities in 2008 with the market crash. Those things are going to happen in some way, shape, or form. What are you doing before? And then what are you doing during? And then what are you doing after? And that's where the optimism, I believe, comes in, because there's three things, and we can go into detail about any of these if you'd like, but there's three things I believe leaders have to do in times of crisis. The first is to be calm, to set tone, right? If the leader flies off the handle and loses control and gets emotional and starts to display all kinds of angst and excitement, so too will the organization.
Right.
You've got to set tone. You've got to kind of calmly get, hey, listen, we're going to get through COVID-19 together as a team. A lot of unknowns, right? I don't know a lot of things personally, but we're going to get through it. The second is that you got to communicate. You got to communicate often, not just a one and done. Hey, we're in COVID-19. This is what the company's doing. I'll talk to you when it's over. No, weekly. How are you doing? What's going on? Here's what I know. Here's what I don't know. And the last thing is act. The worst thing we can do as a leader is to freeze in place. Do something. Put a crisis action team together. Get your smart people of your business around you. Communicate with your people. Talk about all the things you need to do, but that's all action that you have to take.
Well, and it's difficult. I mean, even as leaders, we don't necessarily have all the answers, and
Nope.
we build a great team of people around us that can help inform us and give us and help us make great decisions and give us the information that we need. But in times of crisis, and this being so on just first in our lifetime,
Sure.
who would have ever thought that we would deal with something like this? Although I've watched quite a few documentaries now that people have been talking about this for quite some time, and it didn't seem like many people were listening. But anyway,
hindsight's 2020.
yeah, absolutely. But no, I mean, we don't. So I think that is where leadership, executives, and coaches like yourself can kind of help. Because even, leaders do not have all the answers. You talk about setting tone. What
Yes.
are some ways that we can do that? And I guess too, we're setting the tone for now, but we're also providing some optimism for the future,
Mhm.
and with a little glimpse of what that might look like as we figure out our rebound plans.
Yeah. Well, on the battlefield, we call it battlefield patience, which sounds a little oxymoronic, right? If you're in a battle, you're in a firefight. There's no time for patience. It isn't just, a time to fold your arms and say, "Ooh, look at that." But the one person in the room that's got to remain calm is that leader in some way, shape, or form. There's all kinds of folks that can scramble and start to do things and take immediate action. The leader's got to step back and think their way through that. So in terms of setting tone, and you mentioned this just a few minutes ago, what you're talking about is vulnerability. Leaders don't have all the answers. I believe that's one of the things that leaders struggle with the most is the fact that, oh my God, I don't have all the answers. Therefore, I've got to lie, I've got to cover up, I've got to get angry, I've got to get toxic, whatever that might be. Vulnerability is a really great characteristic as a leader. I've only realized that more now on the outside, reflecting back on my own leadership and watching leadership inside of modern organizations. But vulnerability from a standpoint of, okay, this just happened. This is what I know, and this is me role-playing, speaking to my people. This is what I don't know. I could use your help. I really think if we're going to get over this thing, and I'm confident that we can because we've got a strong team, have got to come together. And I want to know how you believe we can solve some of these things and harden our organization to get through this as a team, right? That's a vulnerability. That's me showing that I don't have all the answers and that I need the help of the organization. People flock to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's really become more normal and more accepted for leaders to show that side of
Yes.
them. But it is, you don't want to go and become completely and just lose it. You have to have control and show some type of confidence in the fact that you'll get through this. But
Yes.
at the same time, showing that vulnerability, and I think honestly, I think that's been probably one of my struggles. One of our kind of mottos with Edge is it's not just business, it's personal. I've never been very good at keeping business and personal separate, really. I get so close to everybody. We're all a big family, and it's just we're all one big unit. But, even still, as being the founder or the CEO of a company, you are the leader. And
Yes.
sometimes you want to have most of the answers, but especially when people are coming to you, okay, in the battlefield, okay, like, where do I go? What do I do? And with you not having all the answers necessarily, but you wanting to be the one that feels like they need to lead, it's a difficult and uneasy situation, I can imagine, for not just myself, but for leaders all over.
No, it absolutely is.
We just may not admit it, but we're all
Yeah.
dealing with it.
No, I think that one of the things, if you look at the time we're in right now, the big decision for leaders is when do we go back to some new normal? When do we go back? When do we decrease 6 feet down to something else? How do we go forward with this? And it's a risk equation. You asked about it. You mentioned the difficulty of leadership in a time like this. It absolutely is. You don't know if you're going to get it right, but it's a risk equation, right?
Right.
And the risk would be this: we don't take risk in terms of spreading the disease and getting people infected by keeping everyone isolated, not home and locked down and all that stuff. We gain risk, we increase risk by bringing people back together to get our businesses up and running. We assume risk by keeping businesses closed, by keeping people home. So it's a trade-off. How much risk are we willing to accept to bring people, maybe certain people, maybe a hybrid, maybe a small group of folks back into the business to keep it up and running, to open the doors back up, to do what it is we need to do. And only leaders can make that call, right? If you don't want a problem, if you don't like problems, if you don't like making that hard call, you don't belong in leadership.
Right.
So it's a risk equation, right? Okay, we're going to get the business open up again on the 1st of May. The government's got our back now. They said we can do it. However, I'm still concerned, that we get somebody sick. Here's a way I'd like to do that. I'm going to assemble a group. We're going to think through this together, but I'll make the final decision and the final call, and I'll lay out the risk associated with it.
Well, and can gradually bring in staff, maybe not all of them, but maybe from in order of seniority or a specific task of what their specialties may be, bringing them in on that type of level. And because unfortunately, cash flow has obviously been, we hear about it on the news daily. So if they can have, just that doors opening in the near future to look forward to, and then they can start putting a plan in action, as
Right.
as most of us they already are. You mentioned communication, and I think that's such a key and a big factor in everything that we're doing right now. Not even just with our teams, but with everything really that's going on. I think it all helps a lot of our stress levels as well. Can you elaborate a little bit more on communication for us?
No, I absolutely can. It's a variety of ways, like you just mentioned. One of the things that has really highlighted to me as we're in this space now is this whole virtual connection. So we're connected to each other through Zoom sessions or Slack and all kinds of other platforms that bring us together. That strips away the interpersonal communication that occurs between people. It strips away what Daniel Coyle in his book, The Culture Code, talks about collisions. And they are unprogrammed, interactions between people in the workplace that really are the fruits of the roots of, innovation and creativity and strong team building. So all of that is taken from us right now, if we let it. There are creative ways through, virtual means on a Zoom chat, let's say, where we can connect with people. We still can FaceTime, we still can email, we can still pick up the phone and have those collisions. In our meetings, we can do fun, innovative things. I was working with a company recently that did MTV Cribs. They had about 18 people on this Zoom call, and every one of them got to show a video of where they work at home. Right. And you had to show the fridge, really important. But what a great way to thrust, to bring somebody into your living room, and connect in different ways and build a team through virtual means. You can Google it. There's dozens of ways you can do this, to communicate. But we've got to continue to do that. I did that in combat. I was forward in Afghanistan. I was counseling and developing my officers back at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Thousands of miles away from me, but I did so via video teleconference. Difficult and hard, but you got to force yourself to do that. It's easy to socially distance somebody. It's hard to communicate from a distance, but you've got to find creative ways to do it.
Well, I think if anything, too, this has pushed a lot of business owners and leaders maybe out of their comfort zone a little, where they weren't doing Zoom calls or conferences as much, and they've now incorporated that into their models, where it's something. And as much as I don't like it, really, I would much prefer you to be in the studio with me. I'm really trying to get used to this, and but it is efficient, I guess. I am able to have different people in the studio. You're not having to drive to come see me. There is a lot of benefits. I can see it even from a sales point of view, or as I'm trying to bring in additional people into the Edge community. If you can create a Zoom call, neither one of us had driving time. But it's just for somebody that's so personable, it's a little harder on me. But I see the benefit. So maybe this is too now something that we can incorporate into our models going forward.
I think so. I mean, if you were a leader in my company, Kelly, what I'd be asking you frequently is, okay, Kelly, this week, how many times did you connect with your people in an informal way? I'm not talking about our standard meetings. I'm not talking about the reporting that we have and all the things that we're doing. But how many times have you connected with your people just to see how they're doing, how their family's doing, anything they might need, right? And then what did you gather from those conversations? That's a forcing function. That's how a leader can really push this stuff into action, and he or she needs to set the example. I'm with you. I love how you keep saying it's personal. It's the title of my first book. It's personal, not personnel, right? And right. I am. It's about getting personal, and it's easy to be impersonal in these means. You can get personal through a video screen and by asking just, informal questions. Kelly, how's it going? What are you struggling with right now? What are you worried about? How's the family? All those things. Those are enormously powerful things. Yeah. That leaders miss a lot.
Well, and then to go back when you talk to that team, representative later or part of your team and saying, okay, so how is little Sarah doing? Are you guys making it
Yeah.
through, did she, work through her transition with her school? I mean, really taking some time to get to know, their families and what they're going through, beyond just us as leaders, our staff. Many, have younger families. They're dealing with the homeschooling and trying to then work from home and taking care of all, really all of these different. I am very thankful at this moment in time that my kids are older. My youngest is almost 20, but for so many, this is a very difficult time as so many are working from home and then trying to do just a little bit of everything.
Indeed, yeah. You're on the topic of families, and one of the things I help organizations with is to bring a family program in. We had a great family program in the military because we never looked at service members as individuals. We looked at them as family units. Now, we did this because we were going to face hardship. We performed and worked in a very dangerous profession.
Yeah.
Where we may not come back from the battlefield. Therefore, we did a lot to bond and connect with families. But Kelly, tragedy doesn't strike just on a battlefield. It can happen on Main Street, and it's happening right now in our country. And wouldn't it be nice to know the families before tragedy strikes? That would be my before area of a crisis if I were a business leader. To connect with families, to know them, who they are, to help show them what's going on inside the company, to bond, just to be there. They might not need much from you, but wouldn't it be great to know them when we get into situations like this? So it's really important, and it's so simple to do, but we miss it so much. I'll end with this part, on that point is, what in any organization I was in, if my leaders showed that they cared for my family, were interested in what was happening with my family, my sons and my wife, then I was more motivated to contribute, to give back, to work harder in that organization.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. One of the things, I think that we also struggle with, we deal with, or interact with a lot of companies that are in that growth stage, that have been in the business, have been in business 5 to 10 years and are really maybe, growing or, moving from a small business to more to a medium size. That is kind of another, again, one of the struggles that I have had is keeping that personal connection as the company continues to get larger. What advice can you share with us on that fact? How do we keep things so personal? And I imagine it has something to do with culture. But as the organization gets larger, how do you keep it personal?
Wow, your questions are fantastic today. So, no, they really are. This is a great point because I work in a lot of organizations. I'm in one right now that's growing at the speed of light. It's adding people by the day. And with every new person that comes in, if they don't stay true to their vision, values, and their culture, they risk, the magic and the inspiration of why the organization started to begin with.
Right.
That's how you do it. Vision, values, and culture. You've got to have an organizational vision where you close your eyes and you see your organization in some future state. And you describe that in words. And it ought to be inspirational. We go into, we help empower communities through technology solutions so that mothers can homeschool their children. Wow. What a neat vision that would be. An example of, or a cause, the same kind of thing. It's the cause in the organization. It's not we sell widgets or we do this service. It's no, we make lives better for people. We provide something that, our clients need that makes their life better and allows them to do what they need to do. That's a cause I can get behind. The way to keep that alive as you grow an organization is by being a broken record. In my organization, I commanded a large brigade of almost 5,000 men and women. Investing in people was the most important thing to me. We had our vision statement. We had a set of values, the Army values. We had the culture, the warrior culture that we all live by. But investing in people was most important. And so I would beat the drum on that every day. I must have said it 10, 20 times a day, investing in people, not only in word, but how are we doing it? So it's just about beating the drum of, hey, listen, let's go back to our vision. Let's put it back up on the wall. and look at it again. Let's measure people against these values that we have all agreed to as an organization to live by, and hold people to those, and then vote those off the island that can't subscribe to those values. So it's just about keeping that vision, values, and that culture alive. When you're hiring somebody, hey, we think we're going to bring Kelly in. We did the interview. Okay, does she sound like one of us? Yes, she does. Okay, now you've got that magic, and you're keeping that special sauce from when the organization started long ago. So it's a leader's role to beat that drum and to keep those vision, values, and culture alive.
Well, and you want to keep a great community for all the team that's already there. I like what you said. Vote them off the island. I like that. And quickly sooner rather than later. What do they always say? Like hire slow, fire fast. So I can imagine that's a big part of it as well.
I see that a lot. Yep.
Robert, just about out of time, but thank you so much for being with us today. We've have your website and all of your details on there, and I think your military experience gives you a great perspective and great angle to lead. So thank you for being a part of Edge.
No, it's been great. I appreciate the platform here, and I'm learning so much in businesses nowadays. So hope I can help.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for being a part of Getting the Edge today. Until next time, never stop dreaming.
All right, this week we're going to talk about something exciting as usual.
We always have something exciting.
Yes, we do.
At least it's exciting to us.
But this is a question that comes up.
TV, hey, it is Friday night. We're not here. Yes, we pre-recorded once again because WeBeam TV is working over in Tampa with Dancing with the Stars.
62 Who Knew. I almost said Professional Mortgage Alliance, Joe's Bar and Grill. But actually, it's our 39th week of 62 Who Knew.
We're at the wonderful steampunk event at the Verizon Event Center here in 2019. I think it's still August, right? Yeah. Woo! Can't remember.
Yes.
To be able to help businesses to do that part of it. But it's just been a couple years.
Well, and I've taken the business card files from our business cards.
Entrepreneurs and professionals of Tampa Bay, welcome to your hour for getting the information, the tools, and the connections
Ian
for
Beckles on Radio Influence.
Or you say left hand white, and then they catch the left hand white. What it does, it helps you quick with hand-eye coordination. Yeah.
Well, that's kind your super connector. We want to introduce you to our 50-plus show partners. We got over 80 categories of expert contributor advice here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, and we want to...
That's where we disagree, but that's okay.
I said nonviolent.
That's okay.
Because, you know, we're one of the only states that don't give them back the right. Got Jamie Limbaugh. He is from the Next Step Image. I love that name because you were telling me earlier.
For the type of republic we actually are is actually very correct. Yet politicians and regular people use these words interchangeably, even though technically they are very different.
If you're an overdoer, overachiever, people pleaser, we tend to neglect ourselves. And even as Sisters Connected here, you know, with Women Unscripted, I know.
All right, this week we're going to talk about something exciting as usual.
We always have something exciting.
Yes, we do.
At least it's exciting to us.
But this is a question that comes up.
TV, hey, it is Friday night. We're not here. Yes, we pre-recorded once again because WeBeam TV is working over in Tampa with Dancing with the Stars.
62 who knew. I almost said Professional Mortgage Alliance, Joe's Bar and Grill. But actually, it's our 39th week. 62 who knew.
We're at the wonderful steampunk event at the Verizon Event Center here in 2019. I think it's still August, right? Yeah. Woo! Can't remember anymore. I skipped turning about Florida law.
To be able to help businesses to do that part of it. But it's just been a couple of years.
Well, and I've taken the business card files from our business cards and changed them.
Entrepreneurs and professionals of Tampa Bay, welcome to your hour for getting the information, the tools, and the connections
Ian
for
Beckles on Radio Influence.
Or you say left-hand white, and then they catch the left-hand white. What it does, it helps you quick with hand-eye coordination. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of...
As your super connector. We want to introduce you to our 50-plus show partners. We got over 80 categories of expert contributor advice here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, and we want to...
That's where we disagree, but that's okay.
I said nonviolent.
That's okay.
Because, you know, we're one of the only states that don't give them back the right. Got Jamie Limbaugh. He is from the Next Step Image. I love that name because you were telling me earlier.
For the type of republic we actually are is actually very correct. Yet politicians and regular people use these words interchangeably, even though technically they are very different.
If you're an overdoer, overachiever, people pleaser, we tend to neglect ourselves. And even as Sisters Connected here, you know, with Women Unscripted, I know.
All right, this week we're going to talk about something exciting as usual.
We always have something exciting.
Yes, we do.
At least it's exciting to us.
But this is a question that comes up.
TV, hey, it is Friday night. We're not here. Yes, we pre-recorded once again because WeBeam TV is working over in Tampa with Dancing with the Stars.
62 who knew. I almost said Professional Mortgage Alliance, Joe's Bar and Grill. But actually, it's our 39th week. 62 who knew.
We're at the wonderful steampunk event at the Verizon Event Center here in 2019. I think it's still August, right? Yeah. Woo! Can't remember anymore.
Yes. To be able to help businesses to do that part of it. But it's just been a couple years.
Well, and I've taken the business card files from our business cards and made
Entrepreneurs and professionals of Tampa Bay, welcome to your hour for getting the information, the tools, and the connections
Ian
for
Beckles on Radio Influence.
Or you say left hand white, and then they catch the left hand white. What it does, it helps you quick with hand-eye coordination. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of...
As your super connector, we want to introduce you to our 50-plus show partners. We got over 80 categories of expert contributor advice here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, and we want to...
That's where we disagree, but that's okay.
I said nonviolent.
That's okay.
Because, we're one of the only states that don't give them back the right. Got Jamie Limbaugh. He is from the Next Step Image. I love that name because you were telling me earlier.
For the type of republic we actually are is actually very correct. Yet politicians and regular people use these words interchangeably, even though technically they are very different.
If you're an overdoer, overachiever, people pleaser, we tend to neglect ourselves. And even as Sisters Connected here, with Women Unscripted, I know